How's it going, everyone? Thanks for tuning in again. My name is Daniel, and I just wanted to share a thought of encouragement with you today for the time that we're going through. So it's something that I've been looking at recently myself, and I thought I would share it with you. It's from Matthew, which is a book in the New Testament, and it's found in chapter 11, verses 28 to 30. I'm just going to read it for you now, and then we'll break it down a bit. So starting from verse 28. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Okay, so let's break that down. Verse 28, it says all who are weary and burdened, and so of course in this situation there are so many people who are weary and burdened, and the reason that Jesus says this is because he knows that we're going to go through so many difficult situations. So he wants to make us fully aware that he is aware of our situation. Yet, even so, he still promises some rest for us. In verse 29, just to clarify, when Jesus says yoke, doesn't mean he was from Dublin. He's actually referring to a big, heavy wooden piece of farming equipment that would have gone across the shoulders of an ox or oxen to pull some more farming equipment behind them. And the reason Jesus uses this illustration is because the yoke represents our burdens, because we often say we feel there's a weight on our shoulders. That's actually where the phrase comes from. And again, in our current situation, a lot of people are burdened. Perhaps you're even feeling a burden of stress, a burden of expectation. Perhaps you're feeling trapped, maybe even guilty, or for whatever reason, you're just searching for a hope or a meaning in this time that is just so confusing for us all. But Jesus makes it so clear to us that he wants us to be free from these heavy burdens. However, notice in verse 29, Jesus doesn't say, I'll come and I'll take your burden off, I'll take the yoke off. He says, take my yoke instead. And the reason he says this is because he knows that without any direction, we will be even more lost. So instead, he tells us to take his yoke on him. And he says, learn from me, and then you will find rest. And finally then, in verse 30, the best part is that when we do take his yoke, he assures us that his yoke is light, and that the burden is easy. So then, what does this mean? As believers, for us, it's a challenge to be active in our faith at a time like this. We need to get stuck into our Bible, read the Word, and pray. And not just be relying on other people to feed us, but to feed ourselves. We have the time to do it now, so we really have no excuse. And there's no issue with broadband speeds or anything when you pick up the Bible. However, maybe you're a non-believer and you're hearing this, but you still feel like you want that weight lifted off your shoulder. And why not at this time, instead of putting energy into worry and stress, put some energy into finding that peace and that rest that Jesus promises. You can just call out to him. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It doesn't have to be anything super religious. Just like I'm speaking to you now, you can speak to the Lord. You can speak to God. And just be honest with him. Tell him your situation. Tell him how you're feeling. And believe the promise that he has given in his word to us. Maybe you just want to be open with him about anything that's in your life that is perhaps interfering with your relationship with him. But most important of all, if you want that burden lifted off your shoulders, just say to him, Jesus, I trust you, and I want you to take control of my life. I can tell you from my own experience that's one of the best decisions I've ever made. And even though I'm in this situation with you, with our fellow countrymen, and it is a crazy situation, I just have a peace because God has blessed me with a peace that passes understanding, because I trust his word and I know that his foundation is truth. So keep it short and sweet for me today. That's all I have to say. But I just want you to look after yourselves, and don't forget that while you're looking after yourself, there may be others that need your help too, so just consider them as well. Take care.